Hi, I'm Felicia and welcome to The Book Detective. Today I'm going to be doing my first book review on The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I literally just finished this book today, so I'm really excited to get to talk about this book with you guys. So I thought I would start out and just read the summary on the back of the book for anybody who's never read the book and doesn't know what it's about. So here you go. Ruby woke up on her 10th birthday. Something about her had changed. Something frightening enough to make her parents lock her in the garage and call the police. Something that got her sent to Thunmund, a brutal government rehabilitation camp. She might have survived the mysterious disease that had killed most of America's children, but she and the others have emerged with something far worse, frightening abilities they could not control. Now 16, Ruby is one of the dangerous ones. When the truth comes out, Ruby barely escapes Thunmund with her life. She is on the run, desperate to find the only safe haven for kids like her, East River. She joins a group of kids who have escaped their own camp. Liam, their brave leader, is falling hard for Ruby, but no matter how much she aches for him, Ruby can't risk getting close, not after what happened to her parents. When they arrive at East River, nothing is as it seems, least of all its mysterious leader. But there are other forces at work, people who will stop at nothing to use Ruby for their fight against the government. Ruby will be faced with a terrible choice, one that may mean giving up her only chance at having a life worth living. Ooh. So yeah, that is the back book's kind of summary of what the book is about. And let me just say, before we get to the spoiler section, this was a really, really great book that had me hooked by the prologue. It was just so interesting, and I was so ready to jump into the book. The characters are also developed well, and they're just great characters that you can't help falling in love with. The author describes the different rehabilitation camps that the characters are in is just so interesting to see how this world that the author's created. We see from the perspective of 10-year-old Ruby as well throughout the book, kind of flashing back to before this all happened, and it's just really cool to read it. Stop right here, right now, if you have not read this book, because I am going to share all the details of the book and all my feelings on all these details of the book. And if you have not read it, then I will be ruining the book for you, and I would not want to do that. So if you have not read, click pause, click exit out of the video, do whatever you need to do, and go get the book. Do not stay if you have not read this book. Do not. I guess for the moment we will get into the spoiler section. Here we go. Start off, and Ruby is in the rehabilitation camp, and they haven't been having new people here for years. She's been here 6 years, since she was 10, so she's 16 now, and she was there with her best friend Sam until she accidentally erased Sam's memory of her. So now she's all alone, and she hasn't talked in almost a year, and they do this thing called white noise, and it's this frequency that only the people in these camps can hear because they're considered freaks with abilities and stuff. All of the children from 8 to 16, I think, or 16 or 18, are affected with this disease, and it's called Idiopathic Adolescent Acute Neurodegeneration, IAAN for short. And the children in this book either get IAAN and die, or they survive and they have abilities, and they're classified by their levels of powers. And in the book, the girl gets sent to the camp when she's 10, and she turns out to be an orange, so one of the upper levels. So it kind of just skips to when she accidentally erases her friend's mind, and then skips again to the current where the book takes off from. So this thing called the white noise is a frequency only heard by the people who are freaks, or the survivors of AAN. It incapacitates them so that they can, if they need to be punished or something like that. So this happens, and it's worse than usual, and she's bleeding and stuff, and she goes to the infirmary and she meets this doctor, and the doctor offers her a way out, that she has to take these pills at night and that she'll get a way out. And so she ends up taking them, and she escapes with the doctor and another one person who's also classified now as an orange. And they're on the run, and they get to where they're going to switch off cars to go with the doctor's boyfriend. and she accidentally sees inside his mind, because that's the orange's power. They can kind of manipulate people, and like she can see inside like their memories and their minds when she touches them, and she can influence them. So she sees that he's not a good person. They're not good people. The League is not good. That's the people who are rescuing her. She thought they were going to be these great people, but they're not. She sees that he's a killer, and he's killed children as well. And so when she goes to the bathroom to freshen up, she runs away, and she meets this girl, Zoo. And Zoo ends up letting her into her like car fortress and hiding her in the back. And our next two characters come into the car ready to drive off, because they're being chased by the skip tracers, which are people who hunt down the kids for money. And they're also now being chased by the PSF, the PIS Special Forces, which was created when all this went down in the beginning, that were created along with these rehabilitation camps. So Ruby meets the other characters, Liam and Chubbs and Zoo, when she hides in the back of their van after they're evading the PSFs and the trackers. And she's ready to leave them. She's really sorry. She didn't want to bring this trouble down on them, but they end up letting her stay with them, at least to get her to the next stop. Chubbs isn't really for it. He's not a big fan of her. He doesn't trust her, but the other characters are okay with it, and they are going to help her out. And they end up in this situation where they get run off the highway by these trackers. And so they end up getting away thanks to Ruby and Zoo. So they're more okay with her being with them and being part of them. In the beginning, Chubbs is really not the biggest fan of Ruby's. He just doesn't trust her because she's just not one of them yet. Throughout the book, we learn that Liam, Zoo, and Chubbs all escaped from the same rehabilitation center together. It was Liam's idea, and they had all of the children getting ready to leave, and they couldn't get the fence down, they couldn't get the electrocution off, and when they do, almost all of the hundreds of kids are dead, and only about 20 escape, including 3 of our main characters. So Liam feels horrible about that the entire time, and that's where their original destination takes them. They are trying to return a letter to a father that one of their friends wrote. So along the way, they form bonds, and Liam and Ruby start to kind of fall in love, but Ruby doesn't totally trust them. She tells them that she's a green and that she escaped because she had a photographic memory and she memorized some codes, so the League wanted her help. But eventually they figure out, when she rescues them, again using her mind powers, that she is really an orange, and they're not afraid of her like she was worried about. They're really there for her throughout the book, and they're not weirded out by her powers or anything like that. And they're looking the entire time for this place called East River with this kid who's supposedly their leader, and this all-powerful kind of guy who can get you in touch with your family, who can help you out, do what you need to do. It's like a special community of kids. So the entire time we're looking for this, and we learn all the character stories as we're going along. Eventually come upon East River, and we're there. And the leader of East River is Clancy, whatever. His dad is the president of the United States, and he was the first kid to develop these abilities and these powers, and he's an orange like Ruby too. So he immediately takes a really big interest in Ruby and her, so he wants to help her get her powers going, and so they end up working together to start off. But Chubbs sees through it the entire time. He sees that it's just another version of the rehabilitation camps. It takes Zoo and Ruby and Liam a little bit longer to see through it all. And as they're in the camp, they work together, and Ruby starts to hone her powers because she's always afraid that she's going to accidentally erase someone's minds, like she did with her friend Sam, and we find out later that she did to her parents. She works with Chansey, and she gets her powers, and she's getting them under control, but he's kind of odd. He's an odd character, and she's not always sure if she can trust him, and then he does some things that break her trust in him, and they get ready, Liam and Chubbs are ready to leave because he's already allowed Zoo to leave with her cousin that she finds. So Zoo and her cousin have already left who knows where, and it's just the three of them, and they decide it's time to leave. Things aren't going good, we're gonna leave now. And when they're about to leave, Chansey uses his powers to freeze Liam, and they beat the crap out of him, and they have to stay then because he's injured. And Ruby goes to face Chansey because she wants to leave with her friends and she wants to be out of here. And she finds out that she almost gets him, but he's more powerful than she is. But in comes these officers of the police. They found out about the camp. Chansey was thinking that they were going to be his Reds. He's been training these Reds. As the president's son, he trained them, and he goes back occasionally to check on them to make sure they're trained right, because he has everybody under his own control, because that's part of his power. But it's not the people he's looking for, and Chubbs comes in and he saves Ruby, and all the other children get taken by the officers except for Liam and them, and a couple others who are able to escape. So Liam, Chubbs, and Ruby are able to find a car, and they're headed out, and they're going to go see Chubb's parents, and they're going to deliver the letter that their friend left them with before he died. And they're on the way to deliver the letter, and Chubbs wants to do it because the friend died protecting Chubbs. So Chubbs goes up to the door, and he knocks on the door, and he starts to explain. And we're in the car, so we're not able to see what he says. But whatever he does, the guy shuts the door and then reopens it and shoots him. And the main characters are frantic. They get him back in the car. They don't know where to take him. They don't know what they're doing. And so Ruby decides. She has had this emergency tracker with her the entire time. She presses it, and the League will be there right away at the snap of a finger to help her. She decides he's going to die. We need to save him. And she presses the button, and they're there. And they take him away, and we don't know at the end of the book whether he's alive or whether he's dead. But Ruby and Liam are in this safe house, and Ruby says that she will stay and she will be their powerful orange. She will stay and she will be with them as long as they let Liam go. So her and Liam say their final goodbyes, but Ruby doesn't tell him that he's going to get to leave. They're just talking about what their life would have been if none of this would have happened. And she kisses him goodbye, and she wipes away all of the memories of her and Chubbs so that he can go on and live on his own and go find his family again. And at the end, he's left down the road, doesn't even know who Ruby is. Chubbs is who knows where, same with Zoo, and she is sadly working for the League. So overall, this book just took me on a roller coaster of emotions and feelings about all the characters. I fell in love with Ruby and Liam. I just loved them together, and Zoo and Chubbs were just sweet and cool characters. I just love this book, and I love the different scenes where we get to see them use their powers. They don't use them a lot in this book besides Ruby, but we get to see kind of a little bit of their powers, and I think the world building she does in this book is perfect. I don't feel like there's too much where I'm just like struggling through it. I feel like there's the perfect amount where I know what this world is like, I know everything that's going on, but I'm not so overwhelmed with all that world building like some books. She does really well to develop all of her characters, and they're all pretty likable, the ones she wants to be likable. We've got the president's son. He's not likable, and he's kind of sleazy, and we can kind of tell. There's points when we feel like we trust him, and then bam, he's not trustworthy anymore. He shows his true colors, and we meet other people on the way, and she does a really good job of doing short little scenes, like fight scenes or action scenes, and getting a lot in them where we feel satisfied with them, but it doesn't drag on and on and on. The characters are just all so, I just can't say enough about this book. It's just so great. First couple chapters made me want to keep reading. There was so much a story put into like the 2 pages, not even the front and the back piece of paper for the prologue, that just made me want to keep reading and like not stop. I was ready to keep going like the first page, not even the second page of the prologue, and then you keep going, and the first sentence of the chapter 1 is, Grace Summerfield was the first to die. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? I mean, the first to die. The first to die of what? The first ever? It's really got my attention. And then you hear it from her 4th grade perspective, and it's just kind of cool to see how her 4th grade self thought about everything that was originally going on and her perspective on everything. And let's just dive in to the things that I felt about this book. Chubbs, you just gonna leave us like that? I mean, I know I'm late on the bandwagon. There's already 2 more out, but still, you left people like that? What happened to him? Is he alive? Is he dead? Are we ever even gonna see him again? When Ruby says in the back of the car that she thinks he's gonna die and that Liam just needs to get back here so he can be with him when he dies, I'm like, oh my god, that's just so sad. Is he gonna die? And then he gets whisked away and we don't even know if he died. And then Zoo. How could they let little Zoo go all on her own? Let her, she's like what? She's like, she looks 8, but she's like 11 or 12, and they let her go off on her own with her cousin, just her and a couple other people, off to California from, where are they at? Virginia to California, and they just let little Zoo go all on her own. That was just, they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't. But Ruby and Liam, they are so cute together. They're now one of my ultimate shipped couples together after Persebeth. But they are just so cute together. She's always trying to push him away because she doesn't want to hurt him, but at the same time he's like, I'm here for you, and she's there for him when he needs her to be there, and they're just such a cute little couple together. And Alexandra Bracken does a great job with the villain, because we don't even really know he's the villain for most of the book. We think, oh yeah, the government's the villain, the rehabilitation camps, but then we find out the president's son, he's actually a big villain too. He's just like his dad. He's this evil person imprisoning everybody in his own way and mind controlling them all to want to behave and be perfect little minions. And I mean, I saw it coming. I knew that he was going to be the leader at East River, and I kind of saw him going bad. I kind of felt it, but I mean, there were parts where it's like, aw, you kind of like felt their like connection because they're the only oranges left. But then you gotta think, what if he just made her feel like that? What if she really wasn't, they weren't really buddy-buddy, but he just made her feel like that, and it wasn't until she got her powers up to a certain level that she actually noticed that he was manipulating her feelings about him. Never know. And then just the road trip to get here was really cute because they're always rescuing each other, and that builds a lot of trust with the characters, and you get to see how Ruby had a totally different experience with the rehabilitation centers than Zoo and Chubbs and Liam did, how she was there 6 years and they were only there like a year or 2, and just the different levels of like treatment in the different camps was really cool to be able to see that comparison and to know that she went through a lot more stuff than they did when it came to the camps. And then you gotta wonder, I really hope that she can reverse this thing and give them back their memories, because I mean, Liam needs to be with Ruby, and if she figured it out, she'd give her parents her memory back, and Sam, and everything, and it would just all be gung-ho. But we know authors don't like to be all gung-ho right away. They don't like perfect togetherness. They gotta leave you with some turmoil, and that's what she did for me. But gladly I can go to the store tomorrow and pick up the next book, which is probably what I will do. So this book, as you can probably tell, is awesome. It's pretty amazing, and if you haven't read it, shame on you. Go read it. It's a really dense book too. I know that's really off topic, but my copy of this book is really dense. It's like really heavy. It's a lot heavier than most paperback. I don't know if it's just my copy of the paperback, I don't know why that would be though, but it's really heavy. I don't know if that's just because the words are just that emotional, that they have more density than other books that don't have as much feeling within them. I don't know. That could be it. But it is very dense.